a few years ago, we were written off as a party. We were cranks, gadflies, fruitcakes, extremists. The Prime Minister even called us closet racists. So we've had to put up with a fair bit of stick over the years to get to where we are. And I think one of the reasons why UKIP is doing so well recently, some of you might have noticed there was a by-election in Eastleigh the other week, and we were quite pleased with the results. We look at the Lib Dem, Labour and Conservative parties, and it's quite difficult, really, to put a cigarette paper between them on issues of real policy substance. But there's an even bigger problem, I think, and it's this, that if you look at the front benches of those three parties, you find a group of people who nearly all went to the same schools, all went to the same Oxbridge colleges, and then went straight from university into a research office, and became members of Parliament aged 27, 28. They're ministers by the time they're 40, and they're very boring people too. Very dull, there's no sense of humour, they've got no interests outside of politics. They look the same, they sound the same, they even spend their Sundays together sitting around tables talking about politics. They marry each other's sisters. So at least I can say, unlike the other party leaders, unlike them, I worked damned hard in the private sector for 20 years up until lunchtime, every single day. And that's what Europe is. It's a political project. I've no doubt there are one or two of you here who voted back in that referendum 40 years ago, who thought you were voting for us to stay in a, what was it called? Common market. That we're now extending that total unlimited border to two countries that are far, far poorer than Poland was, and far more unstable. Countries, and in particularly in the case of Bulgaria, a country that is beginning to look like the Zimbabwe of Europe, completely in the grip of organised crime, with an estimated 44% of the population who now cannot even heat their homes in the winter. Now, you know, I'm not against people from Bulgaria and Romania. I'm pleased they've left the scourge of communism, and I hope things improve in those countries. But there comes a point where you have to say that it is the duty of a British government to put the interests of its own community first. And we've reached that point. Yes, I'm 49 today, but I'm still playing myself in and hoping to make the half century next year. I've been dropped once or twice on the way here with plane crashes and car crashes and various things. But I'm very, very pleased to be here on my birthday. Because the real bosses, the people who make the real decisions that affect British business, are people like Mr. Barroso and my great friend Herman Van Rompuy. I'm not on his Christmas card list, and I haven't received a birthday text from him, I can assure you. We can no longer decide who comes to live, work and settle in our country as members of the European Union. Now, I want to make two things very, very clear from the start. Firstly, we are not anti-European. We're anti-European Union. Just to prove my credentials, I'm actually married to a girl from Hamburg, a German, so nobody needs to tell me about the dangers of living in a German-dominated household. Please don't tell her I said that. David Cameron, again defending the status quo, says, well, if we weren't in the EU, we'd become like Norway or Switzerland, and wouldn't that be awful? Thinking, what does he mean? Does he mean we'd be rich? Good. You also at the start said I was the Messiah. I'm not the Messiah, I'm a very naughty boy. But although I do feel a bit with these tours, I do like to think that I am the Billy Graham of the Eurosceptic movement. So at the end of the meeting, I'll ask you all to stand.